About a year and a half ago, I woke up about 5 o'clock in the morning. My wife woke up first. I live here in Peru, Lima, Peru. So that explains when my wife is yelling in Spanish. I hear, ratero, fuera, ratero, fuera, thief, get out. Like, whoa, 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 what? I'm the husband. I'm the one who's supposed to be chasing thieves off the balcony, not her. So I was a little jealous. But I was also a little bit jealous because the guy got my wallet and not hers. I live on the second floor. I got sliding glass doors on a balcony. Downstairs, there's an iron gate. The landlord left the gate open. I guess people were watching. They knew. So about 5 o'clock in the morning, these two punks came in. You slid inside the gate, climbed up, got over the balcony into the glass doors, into my apartment, got my wallet and my keys. He got 20 sols, which is about the equivalent of $6. And he left his baseball hat behind, LA Dodgers. Now, just for your information, Peruvians don't know much about baseball, just to give an idea where the thieves were from. I already had another wallet. I had to replace my ID. I lost $6 on the ordeal. My wife freaked out and said, we need to get an alarm system put in here. So how about they just lock the gate downstairs? So no, we're going to call Verisure. They're all over the world. They're here too. And 12 hours later, a couple of alarm guys were in my living room selling me an alarm system. Between you and me, I'd rather have a couple of Venezuelan burglars in my living room than a couple of alarm salespeople. And they're trying to do all these deals. You're going to have cameras. I said, you're going to put cameras in my living room. Some alarm company's going to watch me walking around in my underwear in my own living room. That's security. Oh, it's great. We have smoke things so the burglar can't find their way out. And I'm like, it's really not interested. So you know what he said? He said, next time they're going to bring guns. And he actually made the gun gesture like this. Now, if your internet cuts out right now, you learn nothing else from me tonight. Never, ever, ever point a gun at your audience or your client, not even a fake one, not even an invisible one. I'm pointing it over here at my Fit Prison. I'm pointing it here at my Homer Simpson poster. Even Homer doesn't like it. It says, woohoo! I'll show it to you later. He actually pointed it at me and said, they're going to come with guns next time and they're going to shoot you. I said, do you realize that 12 hours ago, I had a couple of burglars in here? Don't you think I feel a little bit violated, a little bit invaded? Now, I have to give the guy credit. At least he identified a crisis that he was preventing. What's the problem? He just outright stated it. If he had put it in a story and said, well, I'm sorry for what happened to you, but realize around the block, they weren't so lucky because when the burglars broke into their place, they came in with guns. Did you see it on the news last week? There's a story that articulates the crisis without threatening your audience. You empathize with the audience. I don't want this to happen to you. So that is going to be the story that we create tonight. Beyond what problem are you solving, the question is, what crisis are you preventing? So here's my question for your business. What crisis are you preventing? So you want to be able to articulate that. We're going to go to breakout rooms in just a few minutes to practice this, identifying and put a story. Okay, are you the main character of the story? It doesn't have to be you. Maybe you saw it happen to somebody else. Maybe you read a book about it. Maybe you saw it on TV. Or maybe it did happen to you. And what you want to do is turn their empathy for you into your concern for them. I got a strange feeling that right now, if I wanted to, I might be able to sell you a home security system. Because you know what the crisis is, you know how they prevent it. I'm just not going to point an imaginary gun at you or a real one. What crisis are you preventing? In other words, what is the absolute worst case scenario if somebody doesn't hire you? Maybe they should, but they don't. Yeah, so, and obviously some people are in the health and wellness business and actually helping people cope with life-threatening illnesses and psychological conditions. But even not even if you don't go quite that deep, you can still articulate what that crisis is. Yes. There you go. Yes. Okay, sued out of business. Someone comes to you asking for a divorce. You're failing math, which is you'll be disassociated from just this school experience in general. Okay, years of saving legacy. Yes. Okay, good. Locked out of their accounts. Oh no! Like that's like the worst. So you can die. You can, oh well, we're all gonna die anyway. No, not locked out of my accounts. In fact, there's an old joke. Well, not an old joke, a relatively new joke. A hacker called me up the other day and said, I have all your passwords. I said, really? Hold on, let me get a pen. So that is a real crisis. And if you're in the business of solving that crisis, you've got to tell people. Said, here's the key. I don't want this to happen to anybody else. Whether it happened to you or another character, somebody you know. That is the magic line, is I don't want this to happen to anybody else. And I definitely don't want it to happen to you. So we go into our second breakout room. I'm going to ask you to practice the U-turn. Not a U-turn like a turnaround U, but the U-turn. Have you ever seen the movie $1 Million Baby? Clint Eastwood, Morgan Freeman, Hilary Swank. She's a boxer. I'm going to stop the share for this one. Hilary Swank is Clint Eastwood, Morgan Freeman. They run a boxing gym, a couple of old timers. Hilary Swank comes in and she's out of nowhere becomes this incredible boxer. And Morgan Freeman is the narrator. Imagine that. And Clint Eastwood is training Hilary Swank. And this whole story goes on, and Morgan Freeman is narrating the story. Apparently, Clint Eastwood, he became estranged from his daughter. Life happens. So that's why he has so much affection for Hilary Swank. He's like a daughter. He's like the daughter that he lost. He tells the whole story. The very last line of that movie. Have you ever seen the movie? Do you know the last line? I'm sorry to ruin it. It's been over 20 years. The last line, what he says, because Clint Eastwood just disappears. You never see him again after everything that happens in the movie. The last line from Morgan Freeman is, I just wanted you to know what kind of a man your father was. The whole time he's telling that story to Clint Eastwood's daughter. When you tell this story in crisis, letting that audience know the reason why I'm bearing my soul, the reason why I'm telling you this story is because you are the main character of this story. I don't want this to happen to you. Then people will perk up. You want that audience to know. And it's always singular, never some of you, many of you, how many of you, a few of you, it's always you. I don't want this to happen to you. I don't want you to lose your business. I don't want you to fold your business and go back to working 9 to 5 because you didn't write a signature talk. Okay, present company here can attest that we just came up with a couple of foundational phrases, made a huge difference in the growth of the business in just a 20-minute conversation. Okay, that's the crisis I'm preventing. I don't want you to give up on your entrepreneurial dream just because you didn't have a signature talk. And once you do that, that is when you present your offer. It could be a spot on your calendar. It could be your book. Have you ever been to a presentation where they say, okay, now that we're done, here's the offer. Membership is $1,000 for the year. Sign up if you're interested. Does anybody do that? Probably not, unless you're letting, I don't know, some kind of something through the vents to get everybody agreeable. So this is what it's going to look like. You tell your story. I don't want this to happen to you. That's why I want to offer you a spot on my calendar. Or I don't want this to happen to you. That's why I have this package normally $500. I'm discounting it to $200 today only because you've been a great audience. So that's how you create that urgency to act now. Okay, now if you feel cheesy, like, oh, all this is to sell a product, bear with me. It's an insult to get up to your audience and just sell, sell, sell products the whole time. It's also an insult not to sell them anything. Because if they like the presentation, they want to follow up with you. Not only that, people in your audience are competitive. They want to say, I got more out of this than you did. Yeah, Nicole, I know you had a good time, but I learned more than you did. And look, I bought the book. You know something, Tom, you look like you were interested, but I bought the course. Yes, Cindy, question.
Yeah. So what is it that you're selling the audience? Is it your low end, your high end, your mid end? What is it that you would tell
Well,
sell
Cindy,
them?
that's going to take some trial and error, but since we're having fun, sell your high end. Why not? Go for it. Give them a $10,000 package, light them up. And we're just practicing, so do what you will. But that is a very good question. Usually you wouldn't go straight to the high end. It's usually the next step. I'm telling you right now, after we come back, I'm going to sell you my $50 product marked down to 40. And the reason for it, it's a continuation of this lesson. It's how you take this lesson we've done here and add more to the same story. So the real answer is whatever adds more, the next step to whatever you just gave them. But for this, present your high end. I don't care. It's all practice anyway. I'll tell you, I'll be damned. That was really deep. Last month was so much fun. We talked about, well, I used to work in an accounting firm, so then I started my own accounting business. Or, this one we went pretty deep. Now let me ask you, the stories that you told and the stories that you heard today, do you typically hear those in your presentations when you go to Zoom meetings and it's somebody's turn to speak? Usually you think these kind of stories would move you to action if you happen to be in that business? If you've got a toddler who can't sleep, yeah, you're going to call Christina after you heard her story. Okay. If you've got aging parents and you're not quite sure how to preserve their memory, you're going to call Cindy after you hear the stories that you heard. Okay. If you've been diagnosed with Hashimoto's, you just don't believe it. Your endocrine system's not cooperating, but there's something quite not right. It's probably emotional. You're going to call Hale. Okay. When you hear these stories, when people hear these stories, they're going to come to you as well.